This is Faisal Khan for Lights Out in association with Shamrock Boxing. Delighted to be joined by former world title challenger and now full-time boxing promoter Dmitry Salita, all the way in Michigan, USA. Dmitry, good evening to good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. How you guys doing? I'm doing okay. And yourself?
We're getting by, just taking each day as it comes, obviously with the whole coronavirus situation. It's the 6th week of the lockdown. How have you guys been handling it out there? It's always good to get to know someone else's story, especially from the US, on how they're dealing with the lockdown.
Yeah, same here. At home with the kids, doing some homeschooling, and trying to stay active, trying to stay busy in terms of progressing and thinking outside the box of business, and finding ways to move things along. And hopefully, we'll get back to relative normality in the near future.
I mean, I pray that's the case as well, because normality is such a beautiful thing, and I think we all took it for granted how much of a beautiful thing normality actually was. As I mentioned at the start of the interview, from former world title challenger to full-time boxing promoter, how did that come about?
Well, I initially started to promote fights for myself to kind of get back in the ring, get back in title contention. And after the fight with Amir Khan, I really felt physically fine. I could have fought the week after, and I told my promoter at the time about that. But things didn't come together, and I was finally able to function on my own. And from the time that I made my decision to promote my first show was about 5 weeks, maybe 5.5 weeks, and it was on television. It was in Brooklyn, New York, at a venue in Brighton Beach called the Oceana, which is no longer around. And we had a great event. It was a sold-out event. We had some great undercard guys. Again, it was on television. Had good media support. And I, started to promote a couple of shows on my own. And then, very good fighters started to reach out to me, and we put them on the undercard. One of those guys really early in his career was Jarrell Big Baby Miller, who has fought for me in a second professional fight. And, I was really surprised that some of these really good, talented fighters didn't have an opportunity to sign with kind of a bigger, more established promoter at that time. And 2010, 2011, 2012, the Barclays Center opened up, a lot of buzz in Brooklyn about boxing. I myself, as a fighter, had the honor of being signed to some of the best promoters in the sport of boxing. My first promoter was Top Ring and Bob Burnham, then Lou DiBella, then Square Ring, for Golden Boy. So I really seen how different companies operate from really, kind of from the inside in some ways. And I feel that, really early in my career, fighting on a Mayweather undercards and Vladimir Klitschko and Eric Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera and all those big fights gave me exposure to really, the highest level of boxing. And I was always kind of very observant, looking around, asking questions and seeing how things function. And I believe that that was great education for me as a young man, as a kid.
It's always good to see boxers sort of looking to take up the promotion side of boxing. And of course, we mentioned a couple of names. You look at Oscar De La Hoya with Golden Boy Promotions. Floyd Mayweather has got Mayweather Promotions. So it's always nice to see boxers not just leaving the sport once their professional career is done and they're looking to take up the promotion side of the business. In terms of growth, how would you say that Salita Promotions has done over the last couple of years?
So big difference between me and Mayweather and Oscar De La Hoya.
Of course, yeah.
They were big difference because they were superstars, and they, participate in some of the biggest events in the sport of boxing. And when they formed their own companies, they were such big stars that a network would say, "Okay, can you fight on our network? We'll give you several dates for our fighter. We'll give you several dates for your shows, for your events." And with that, they can go and sign and sign, the top prospects, the superstars, etc., etc. I really started from a very club level show, and from setting up my own chairs. And while I had some of the relationships and the experiences of fighter of being exposed to that, I didn't have the as a matter of a businessman, I didn't have the leverage to get those type of deals and to really function in a profitable level from the beginning. So that was very challenging, but also more importantly, a great education. But it could have crushed me really, because it was very difficult, very challenging, those beginning stages of any business really, but I feel that obviously getting in the ring and competing at a high level for some portion of my career, and being aligned and signed with some of these promoters, gave me great advantage, So, but obviously it is great to see. I think that the sport of boxing is much more open now than it was even 20 years ago and 10 years ago. It's great to see that, folks like Oscar and Floyd Mayweather, who are really legends in the sport, have really, took advantage of their career. Vladimir Klitschko and now Golovkin. There are other examples of fighter Ricky Hatton, Joe Calzaghe, that have done stuff, really for their fights. But Oscar and Floyd really made it go beyond them and really made real businesses out of it.
In boxing, you've got loads of stables and loads of promotions, so it's always welcoming to see another promotion come into boxing, and especially when you look at some of the names that Salita Promotions is working with, especially when you look at Clarissa Shields and Christiana Hamer, and of course, big baby Jarrell Miller. Now, being
and Otto Whalen.
And Otto Whalen as well, yeah, who took Tyson, who took Tyson Fury 12 rounds last summer. So some big names,
by the way.
You're welcome. You've obviously, you've got some good names that you've worked with. How confident are you that, being obviously at the early stages of Salita Promotions, that you've got what it takes to get these fighters to perhaps a world title or even a world title shot?
Well, great question, great question. So, sometime around a year ago, we had a press conference for Jarrell Miller in New York City for his fight versus Anthony Joshua, which was going to be June 1st at Madison Square Garden, maybe a month or 6 weeks before today, so a little earlier. But and being at Madison Square Garden and getting ready to go on that big stage, and you have the big table and the big step and repeat, and really being at Madison Square Garden extremely special. And I remembered when Jarrell fought for me in a second professional fight at Roseland Ballroom, which is 15, 20 blocks away from the Garden. And when I saw him fight, I said, Jarrell, you're the next heavyweight champion of the world. And, getting ready to speak at that press conference, I felt really special that I really, that he was with me since he's a 4-round fighter. And I believed in him and was able to bring him to that, really, at that time, was one of the biggest fights in boxing. For reasons beyond our control, that fight didn't happen. But the fact that he got there, I felt really good about the work that we've done. Then some time went by, and Otto Whalen. I know Tyson Fury was looking for an opponent, so I knew behind the scenes some things didn't work out, and I did my research and I phoned Mr. Bob Arum and made a proposition to him, and he was, hot and cold about it, but talked it through and kind of gave him all the positives about it, and we talked about it for a while, and then, fortunately that fight was able to happen. On April 13th of last year, Clarissa Shields fought Christina Hammer in the biggest fight in women's boxing history, and with that became the undisputed middleweight champion of the world. In her last fight on January 10th, she went down to junior middleweight and captured 3 division titles faster than any man or woman in the history of the sport. And this Saturday, May 9th, she was supposed to fight Marita Carey for the 154-pound unification, which is historic, and very unique to be a 2-division unified champion. So I think that we've made great progress, thank God. and I have a lot more ideas and possibilities and things that I'm working on. This Corona pandemic, obviously slowed the roll somewhat, but I'm, hopeful and confident that things will get back to normal and we'll keep progressing. But, but I feel that it's important to establish a very good infrastructure, to establish a good company infrastructure. So, I'm one person, but I also have great people that work with me, people that are knowledgeable, that are experienced, with whom I have great communication. And again, the reason why I'm able to kind of see a game plan from a business point of view and an ability of a fighter and kind of project what can happen, a large part is because I was exposed to a lot of that, as a fighter. So that was my university, if you will.
Some of the names you've just mentioned, obviously you mentioned two big names in female boxing, and of course you mentioned two heavyweights. One was supposed to fight for a world title, and one really gave Tyson Fury a very good fight last year. But we obviously speak to you a bit about Jarrell Miller. We all understand the reasons why he wasn't able to fight Anthony Joshua in the end with the failed drug test. He hasn't obviously fought since. What is next for Jarrell Miller? And there's a lot of people that have their opinions, and some people say he should never be allowed to fight again. Some people have said it should be a longer ban than he originally received. I mean, what would your message be to the boxing world when it comes to Jarrell Miller continuing with his boxing career?
Well, we did a deal with ESPN with Top Rank, and I'm very excited about it. But with the ESPN platform and with Bob Arum and Top Rank, he will have the ability to reach his potential, which I believe is a heavyweight world title. Also aligns him to fight Anthony Joshua, and I believe not Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. And I believe that, Jarrell's personality and Tyson Fury's personality is just a natural clash of titans.
It makes for a great press conference, that's for sure.
Amazing, right? I feel like the build-up to it is going to be better than the fight, or as good as the fight. In that situation, I miss HBO's 24/7 because they would have done a great job with that. But
I have to ask you the question. Obviously, we know Tyson Fury right now. A lot of people consider him the number one heavyweight in the world. How confident are you that Jarrell Miller can beat Tyson Fury if you are able to get that fight? And Tyson Fury, of course, is still heavyweight champion of the world.
I mean, obviously, a very difficult challenge, especially more difficult now that Tyson is trained by my friend, someone who I've been trained with, Sugar Hill Stewart. And I remember Tyson Fury coming to Detroit when I used to train at the Chronic Gym in about 2010, 2011. So I've really seen how he developed as a fighter. Really incredible to see. Tough fight, obviously. Tough fight for both guys. But I believe that Jarrell's size and pressure and athleticism, Tyson Fury's strength is athleticism. And one of the things that Otto was able to do in that fight is with Otto's basic skills and because he's so well schooled and strong, he was able to derail that athleticism to an extent and be able to expose Tyson Fury somewhat. But with Sugar Hill, his fundamentals have gotten better and are going to continue to get better. So I feel that he's going to improve as a fighter. But, Jarrell also has great fundamentals. He's very athletic. He has very fast feet. He's big. He's strong. He's smart. He has a very good fight IQ. So, and when a 300-pound guy, athletic as Jarrell, leans on you and pushes you and keeps coming forward in round 6 and 7, that takes some out of you. And I believe that Jarrell needs to get back in the ring and stay busy, and I think that he would have a great chance to beat Tyson Fury. But obviously, in fights like this, it's anybody's pick, but I certainly believe that it'll give people. I certainly believe that people can. It's a pick and fight, and people can feel one way and feel the other way, and that's what makes the sport of boxing exciting. And a fight like this will be extremely exciting. What a great pay-per-view that would be.
It definitely would be an interesting press conference, and it would be an interesting fight as well. Tyson Fury, obviously, when he was asked about Jarrell Miller, Tyson Fury said that I believe, he knocked down Jarrell Miller 7 times in sparring. I think that's what Tyson Fury said. I think it was either 7 or 8. Is there any truth in those comments by Tyson, Dmitry?
I mean, it's he said, she said. Jarrell has a great chin. I really don't believe that Tyson Fury ever did anything close to that with big gloves and headgear. I don't believe that he will be able to do it in a real fight, but I find it hard to believe that something like that happened.
One final question, Dmitry. Obviously, because I think it's only fair. You had a very good career. You know, you fought for a world title. And of course, you're doing what you're doing now with being a promoter in boxing. Who would you say was the best guy that you shared the ring with? The best fight you shared the ring with?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Well, it would have to be Amir Khan, I think.
Uh-huh. I'm glad you mentioned that.
But I want to tell you something.
Uh-huh.
But I grew up in Star City Boxing Club, which is one of the best gyms at that time. It was one of the best gyms in the country and in the world, and had Danny Jacobs, Louis Colasso, Shannon Briggs, Monty Barrett, Jaden Codrington, Travis Sims, Tarvis Sims, myself, Saddam Ali, etc. Lots of great fighters. And the hardest, so in the 1995, 1996, 1997, the hardest puncher that I ever sparred with or fought is Curtis Stevens, bar none. The hardest, by far, the hardest. Curtis used to knock kids out when he was 95 pounds. In the juniors, like knock them out like Mike Tyson, like they would just fall like trees. So the hardest puncher that I ever sparred or fought is Curtis Stevens, like second to none.
Dmitry, it was a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you very much for your time, and we're really, really looking forward to seeing the next chapter in the Salita Promotions business. It's going to be good to see Jarrell Miller get back into boxing action as well, and see what sort of stake he can claim on the heavyweight division. Dmitry, just want to thank you very much for your time, and we hope you're staying safe at this time, and we hope the family's keeping safe as well. And hopefully one day when we're over in the US, or when you come down to the UK to do a bit of boxing business, we'll grab a face-to-face interview with you.
That'd be great. Are you based in London?
We're not based far from London. I would say 20-minute drive roughly from where we are to London. So we're not far at all. So if you're ever in London, just hit us up on Instagram. It'll be an honor to come over and grab a face-to-face interview with you.
Sounds good. Okay, man. Thank you. Nice to connect with you. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Dmitry Salita. Thank you very much for talking to Lights Out.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.